Order. The meeting is being broadcast on Comcast 23 and live streamed on the following links, which are carrollmediacenter.org, town-Hampstead, and on facebook.com. So please rise for the prayer and the pledge. Dear Lord, we submit ourselves to you as your servants and the servants of the people of Hampstead who place their trust in us. Please allow every word that is spoken and every action taken to be in the best interest of Hampstead and for everyone gathered here tonight to be a stabilizing influence in these unsettled times. O Lord, bless this meeting and our town. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll.
Mayor Nevin.
Here.
Councilmember Barrett.
Here.
Councilmember Painter.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Oglesby.
Here.
And Councilmember Zoll.
Here.
Minute approvals from February 11th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thanks. Jim, you can take your pick. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Then town manager's report.
First, I want to thank Kevin for sitting in for me last month. Did a great job. I was afraid you'd want him back permanently.
We have not voted on that yet.
Okay.
Under new business.
Water system centralization and modernization project. Project continues to move forward. Later this evening, we will be seeking the council's approval of the pipeline construction contract with Mid-Atlantic Utilities. Additionally, we have received MDE approval to move forward with the procurement of the GAC equipment. So now our engineering terms currently working with our GAC vendor, Nuterra, on ensuring the design that they came up with will work with the actual Nuterra equipment. MDE has the pipeline inspection services bid package. Now they're holding off the approval on that until they get the bid package for the pipeline construction contract. Since they go hand in hand, MDE prefers to approve both contracts at the same time. Also, they have to see the cost involved in the pipeline construction because your inspection services cannot go over a certain percentage of that. Once the construction inspection bid packages are approved, they will then move on to the Board of Public Works who approve the funding. Little side note on funding, we're still awaiting the grant agreement from MDE. We've been told for the last few weeks that we should get it within a week. I reached out again today. They were having a meeting with the attorneys. One of the subjects on the agenda was the Hampstead grant agreement. So hopefully we will have it in the next few days, and then we can move forward to Board of Public Works.
Are we still short money for our budget? Are we still short?
It's going to be an austere year as far as I can tell. The amount of money we're getting for the reimbursement of state income taxes is it's leveled off. It's stopped going down, but I can't figure out why it dropped in the first place as much as it did. So, and the last payment we got was the first one where it was on par or just a little higher than the previous year in like 2 years. So property taxes are going to be fine. More to follow on my legislative update. But, I mean, we're in a much better position than the state and the county and several other organizations.
Additionally, the request for bids for the water treatment plant construction inspection services will be released tomorrow morning. In keeping with the MDE requirements, Judy's advertised the release of the bid in the Carroll County Times, the Baltimore Sun, the Washington Post, the Afro. The advertisement's also been posted on construction.com and on the Maryland Marketplace Advantage websites. The final stage set of construction plans and the spec book, by the way, the spec book for the water treatment plants is only 800 pages, but they've been sent to MDE for their final review. We hope to go to bid on this last phase of the project in late April. And additionally, the concept site plan for the water treatment plants has been approved by the Hampstead Planning and Zoning Commission, and the final site plan should be introduced at their March meeting later this month. Antietam Broadband, they have approximately 2/3 of the residences in town ready to connect to their fiber service if the residents desire. Antietam also has their quality control team in town. They're rechecking the construction sites and all the properties to ensure that they are returned to the same condition as prior to the project. Finances, Preparation of the 2026 budget has begun. Cheryl will be meeting with the various departments in the upcoming weeks to discuss their anticipated expenses. As far as water billing, I talked about this briefly last month. The new online payment system is now live on our website and accepting payments. Residents will be able to see their balance due and pay their bill quickly and easily. In addition, residents will be able to create an account to securely store payment information, schedule future payments, or set up automatic payments. So they came out with a new grant, the Sustainable Maryland Action Grant. And we're pleased to announce that the town of Hampstead is one of the inaugural awardees of this grant. The town received $5,000, which will go towards the creation of the Hampstead Community Garden, which will be located on the grounds of the Crossroads Church right across the street. The money will be used to purchase the materials and build the garden boxes in which the plantings will take place. The organizers of the Hampstead Community Garden envisioned the garden serving as a central hub for collaboration between community members, local organizations, and businesses to foster environmental awareness and sustainability. More information can be found on Facebook by searching Hampstead Community Garden. Town elections are coming up. The 2025 town election will be held in Town Hall on Tuesday, May 13th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for 3 members of the Town Council. All terms are for 4 years. If you are a registered voter in Carroll County and live within the incorporated town limits, you are eligible to vote in town elections. Nomination packets for residents that would like to run for office are available at the town office beginning March 3rd, so you can pick them up now. Candidates must be 25 years of age, a registered voter, and have resided within the incorporated limits of the town of Hampstead for at least 1 year immediately preceding the election. Once again this year, we are proud to partner with the American Legion Post 200 to pay tribute to the brave men and women who are serving, have served, or have given their life in the line of duty while serving in the United States Armed Forces. Banners with the military member's photo and branch of service will be displayed on the light posts along Main Street from May through September, honoring their service to our country. Applications and more information can be found on our website, hampsteadmd.gov/military banners, or by calling the town office at 410-239-7408. And this Saturday, the first bulk trash pickup of the year will take place. It's on Saturday, March 15th. Residents should place bulk items outside on the Friday evening before pickup. There are also bulk trash days on the third Saturday in July or October. These days are reserved for large non-hazardous items like old chairs, appliances, etc. Tires, paint, motors, items with freon, oil, or other hazardous waste or construction materials will not be picked up. Also, yard waste pickup. That will begin this year. It's always on the first Monday in April, so that will start on Monday, April 7th. And one last item just came up. We got it finalized. Hydrant flushing. Hydrant flushing will take place on April 9th. Residents may notice a slight discoloration during and after the flushing hours. You simply need to run your cold water until the water's clear.
It's technically the day after the next council meeting.
Okay.
Why not get ahead of it?
There you go.
So beware of the Ides of March, community yard sale. All right, Diane.
The Hampstead Farmers Market Advisory Team met on March 3rd. The biggest news is that Market Manager Keith Johnson has decided not to retire this year after all. He is committed to continuing another year through the 2026 Christmas market. We thank him for his dedication to the continued success of the market. We have 12 vendors signed up so far and have received 8 paid sponsorships. All of our musician spots have now been filled for the season. During the past few months, the advisory team has discussed moving the market to a paved area to improve the market experience for customers with mobility challenges. Overall, our vendors are agreeable to the idea. Coppermine will continue allowing us to use the front of the building during the carnival, but not for the whole season. It would interfere with their parking and traffic flow needs when they have events and programs inside the building. They will allow us to use the parking area near the water tower, so it will be similar to the fire department's Food Truck Tuesdays, with plenty of parking available in the remainder of the lot. Thank you to Wayne for providing a sample markup of the lot, and Keith for presenting our plan to Pantherplex's property manager.
Good to have Keith staying on board. Wayne,
It's all because of you.
I doubt it.
The
Probably
Hampstead
hindered
Train
more than
Station
anything.
Committee, we're going to open up on Hampstead Day. Music in the Park. Ran into a little problem this year. The second Tuesday in June just happens to be the same day as the Matthews Car Show. So I talked to Mr. Matthews I talked to Todd, and we decided we'd move the first Music in the Park to June 7th. So we're going to start on June 7th.
They moved it up.
Huh?
They moved up their car show. Usually it's later in June.
He says it's always on Father's Day, and what the problem is this year, the way the days came out, it was up a
Okay.
week.
All right.
Blame it on those fathers. But at any rate, Music in the Park, we've got the Hickory Wind open up June 7th. We've got music by Just Us, Bootleg, Mark Vale Band, and September 13th, Blue Moon Big Band's coming back. So got one band that backed out on me, so I got 2 slots to fill, but I should have that filled out and advertised by this Friday so it can go into the town newsletter.
Oh, is that the reason he's looking at you?
Yes. Tree Commission.
Contingent on a certain member up here getting his newsletter done, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who that is. Tree Commission, April 12th, we have a big planning. This is the money we got from Chesapeake Bay Foundation and the Tremendous Tree Program. We're planting 30 trees over at Westwood Park near a playground adjacent to a farm property. So we're still looking for volunteers for that. We've got that pretty well underway.
What kind of trees?
Hmm?
Yeah, what kind?
Boy, there's a bunch of them, but they're all native to Maryland. So, and then we're contacted this past couple of weeks by Smart Energy Professionals. They're located at 2031 Hanover Pike here in Hampstead. They've been here for a couple of years, and they decided they want to give back to the community, so they want to plant another 15 to 20 trees this spring.
Wow.
So we're working out an opportunity to plant. That's probably going to be over at North Carroll Farms 4 to plant trees up there. Date to be announced, but that's what we're working on there. And then, of course, we'll be working on a fall planting. That's it for me.
All right. Could Copper Mine use it or whatever? The Pantherplex use some trees?
I don't know where to plant trees. They want to bulldoze everything out front, so
Well, you could line Panther Drive with some.
Ah, like that.
Just saying. Okay. Deb?
The Hampstead Planning and Zoning Commission met on Wednesday, February 26th. As Jim had stated, the first order of business was the approval of the Town of Hampstead PFAS Treatment Centralization Project Concept Site Plans. Following that was the certification of the Hampstead information for the 2024 Carroll County Department of Planning Annual Report. This provides the county with information on what the commission has accomplished throughout the year. One of the items was the addition of the inclusive playground at Panther Park. The commission received updates from Andrew Gray, Department of Planning. The Water and Sewer Master Plan was approved by the county and sent to MDE for approval, and the housing study is online for the public to view.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, so a couple of years back, I tried to get with the state to work on getting another historical marker here in town for the train station. That didn't work out. I'm applying again this year, if it's in the budget this year for them to do it. That's been the problem the last couple of years. They're not doing new historical markers.
How much does it cost?
It's like $2,000 to make one. So I decided last summer when we were at the Maryland Municipal League Conference to talk to one of the directors of the state highway and to talk about the one we have here in town, which is Spring Garden. That's next to the War Memorial, and it was in pretty bad condition. So normally they clean these up every few years, but this was put in 1969, and it hasn't been touched since. So it was pretty bad. So took about 8 months, but I'm happy to say that they finally came out. They took it down. They sandblasted it at their shop. They repainted it, put a new pole in, put it back into place. So we do have that sign back where it was. I'm just going to read what's on it real quick, so just to have it. Christopher Vaughan laid out the town of Hampstead in 1786 on land called Spring Garden. located along the Indian path from Patapsco, Baltimore, to Lyric Spring, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which had been marked by Christopher Gist and made a public road in 1738. And we believe Christopher Vaughn is buried in the Richard Cemetery. He's one of the ones we think are buried over there, but it's an unmarked grave. So I'm happy to have that sign back up in good condition.
Good job, David. Good job.
Thank you.
Excellent. Ben, water.
Water. For February, the average water usage was 367,000 gallons per day. In March so far is 348,000 gallons per day. Rainfall for February was 1.26 inches, and for March so far is 0.71 inches. So we do remain in a moderate drought, with the stream gauges well below the normal water levels. In addition, I was reading through Kevin's report. There's just a few things I wanted to bring up from water as well. The regulatory compliance engineer was on site to complete the sanitary inspections of the water system. And Kevin and his team and crew, they work really hard to provide us with good, clean water in the facilities that they treat the water in. And they passed. There was no deficiencies in any of the pump houses, water towers, or facilities that are associated with our water system at that time. So that was a great job, Kevin.
Good job.
They also fixed, Kevin's team also fixed a couple of leaks and repairs on the water line and a water main break this past month.
So is that the reason we're down 20,000 gallons? We found all the leaks.
It is. We finally think we have a handle on it.
Where was it? Big one?
We had a 4-inch water main break on Scarlet Oak Court. We fixed on a Saturday. Then we had an 8-inch valve. In 2000, the valve manufacturers all decided that they could make the valves cheaper by using regular grade bolts, not stainless steel. And what happens, the bolts completely disappear over time. So that's been around 23 years, give or take, and there wasn't a bolt left in it, and it just lifted up and started leaking. So we fixed that on Tuesday.
So are we going to go around to all the 2,000 air pumps and do the same thing?
Well, eventually. We've already fixed 3 of them out there.
Proactive is what I'm asking.
We do
Preventative
have
maintenance.
kits to replace the gaskets and the bolts in stock, and we fix them as they. But we had a lot of water leaks where people simply did not heat their homes. We had basements completely filled, and we had sprinklers that were in homes in Roberts Field during the cold snap that had no heat and destroyed the townhomes. We had a lot of chasing January and February, but I'm happy to report the average will probably be back down in the 330s by next month.
All right. Sounds good.
Last thing is there was 80 missed utility tickets to mark town water main and services. So thanks to everyone for calling and getting those marked before digging, because we are trying to prevent leaks. So it is work to go out there and mark them all, but it's better than fixing a leak.
That it is. Chief? Okay, the numbers are all in. They're waiting on you.
Good evening, everyone.
Don't tell me.
During the month of February, we investigated
God bless you.
18 accidents. 7 were reportable, 11 minor property damage only, and 5 took place at the 42 Circle. Speed signs were placed at 6 locations for a total of 81 days of display. Traffic enforcement included 6 selective enforcements over a total of 3.5 hours. 3 citations and 16 warnings were issued during the activity. Overall, traffic enforcement included 239 citations, 246 warnings. We conducted 659 property checks. With reference to crime, 4 frauds were reported, 1 theft of a motor vehicle, and 1 theft of motor vehicle parts, tires from a car over at Hampstead Pre-Owned. 5 individuals were charged with DUI.
As well as he has that place lit up,
Yeah, it made it easier to see.
or was it sitting down at Snyder's?
It was down on Mount Avenue. And 3 individuals were taken into custody for outstanding warrants. Traffic-related offenses included 1 unlicensed driver, 2 uninsured drivers, and 1 suspended drivers. We conducted 9 hours of training. We completed our state-mandated Juvenile Restoration Act training, as well as de-escalation training. And community events included the Roberts Field HOA and the Shiloh Middle School mock interview program. And that would be our report.
Questions for Dave? And we have a trainee in Academy.
We do have a young lady, Kimberly Williams. She is our newest recruit. I'm always hesitant to talk too much. This is her second week in the police academy.
She's there. We can just note
She's
that.
there. It'll be August until we get a chance to introduce her. She comes to us from the Coast Guard. She did 5 years in the Coast Guard.
And a local resident.
She's a local resident.
Nice.
Not a question for Dave, but with how fast people go around that bypass, and there's accidents there every month, if they cut down some bushes to create a view of cars coming, since nobody's slowing down, I think there's bushes on 482 going towards Westminster, that if they cut those down, maybe that would help people be able to see cars coming, because by the time they slow down to yield, it's almost too late.
They don't slow down to yield. That's the problem.
That's the problem. If
But
they
the
can
backup,
see, maybe they
well, no, it's not, I take that toward Westminster a lot. I guess you do too.
Yeah.
But it's the first lane stops, the second lane doesn't. That's the issue most times.
Yeah.
The consistent theme with the crashes there over and over again is failure to yield.
They're not slowing down.
And for whatever reason, and I guess it has to do with 482 and the volume coming across there, the state police don't have anywhere near the volume of crashes that we do in the southern circle or the northern circle. And the only thing I can figure out is 482 is it's just a bigger road going through there. The other issue too is, I'm probably jinxing myself, but with the multiple lanes there, and obviously with the volume of traffic, you need those multiple lanes to get traffic through there. But for instance, Black Rock Circle, I can't remember the last time we had a crash there. Now tomorrow morning I'll probably be standing there, but it's over and over again. It's just it comes down to failure to yield.
Being in a hurry.
Well, that's why I like those signs that say yield to traffic in the circle, which might remind people.
There already is general yield signs.
Right.
And I know we've talked about it before, and dealing with state highway is sometimes, it's similar to dealing with some of the other entities that everybody deals with. It's a good possibility, but I've also seen those signs knocked down.
Yeah.
Like the big one that's already down.
Yes.
So, all right. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
My report, been a busy month, a lot of it in Annapolis, because that's where we are in the legislative session. I was down there for the Carroll County delegation. They host the local folks down there. Our delegation does. Josh Stanko did a really good job of explaining the education funding and how it's different going forward. There's just lots of stuff going on down there. We had a mayor's conference down there last week. I'm going to give you the legislative committee update that I gave since I'm the chair this year, but I'll give you a quick update on that. I met with a couple of senators. We had an economic update. We had cyber, camera, and driver safety demos and demonstrations and basically information sharing. The one for cameras was, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, really good. Basically real-time AI kind of stuff. So something we should look at. And then coming up, we have Carroll County MML next week, and then the Northern News Awards, back-to-back days. I think everybody up here is planning to attend. So on the legislative update side of things and the Maryland Municipal League priorities, I think I mentioned last month that we were coming up on 3,000 bills. Well, we blew through it. We're at 3,200 bills. We've passed the deadline for introduction. Our legislative committee for Maryland Municipal League has reviewed nearly 300 bills this session, and we've taken on positions on just over 200 of them, which is a record. Last year, by comparison, was 97. There's just that many bills out there that we thought we had to weigh in on in some shape or form, but that doesn't mean staff has to go to everyone and testify in person. You can write a letter. There's different ways to express our support or to express our angst. And I will go through a couple later on of the ones we opposed. So last year, of our priorities, there are two. There were 20 submissions last summer, 17 of which dealt with revenue. As you know, we basically can get revenue two ways around here. Is our own setting of the property tax, and then B, we get a share of that little box you check off on your tax returns if you live in a municipality. It doesn't mean you pay more, it just means we get a share of it here locally. And as we were talking about earlier today, for whatever reason, that number's actually dropped over the last couple of years. Our, excuse me, our food and beverage bill is basically held up by budget challenges, which I will go through in a minute, which is not basically unexpected. The bill, though, did get a hearing. Both our bills have gotten hearings, and the message we're trying to get there is that this bill for budget or for food and beverage is an enabling legislation where we can charge up to 3% locally for our restaurants here. You know, you can say that's good or bad, but a lot of our residents or a lot of folks who use town services are not really residents of our town. They live just outside of town. So this is one way they can help provide revenue to the town, and you know, for which they get the services from. But at any rate, it's that's one thing. The other message we're trying to send is that that you know, we need to better revenue sources for towns, just not the two I referenced. And the other one is equitable sharing of overlapping and essential services, where our residents get double tax. We pay county tax and we pay municipal taxes. There's a lot of, we're a May county, meaning the county may share with us. There's some shell counties where they will share with you, but there's a lot of municipalities on the Eastern Shore that are basically May counties, and the county gives them zero. So so there's some, you know, equitableness to that. So we'll see we'll see how that goes. But I truthfully, I don't anticipate that bill moving, given all the other tax things that are going on down in Annapolis. The league's also invested in 2 independent research studies showing the impact municipalities have on the state without a penny of it being returned to us. We're one of only 5 states in the country where revenue is not shared with locals. So that's the message we're trying to get to the General Assembly, and I bet nobody knew that. I didn't. So our other bill is the speed camera bill. We don't have any speed cameras in Hampstead. Maybe that'll change, you know, given speeds in some of the roads around here. But it allows for non-uniform personnel who have been trained to review the tickets instead of a police officer sitting there and having to sign off on the ticket. Last year it got held up in Senate committee. This year that senator, he was disappointed. He basically knew he upset us, so he made good for us. The bill's actually in better shape this year. It's already been passed through the Senate. It's already had a hearing in subcommittee in the House, so it looks like it'll get done this year. So that's one win for us. If you really want to follow along on all this stuff, Maryland Municipal League has a website like everybody else, and there's a website or a tab called Advocacy tab, and then 2 below it you can see all the positions we've taken on all the bills we have. I do want to share 3 bills where they're head scratchers, because there's some of these bills that come up every year. God knows how they get there or why. But there were 3 of them. First up was Senate Bill 35, which was cross-filed with House Bill 990. Municipal appointees and employees required education and experience for financial oversight. This would require any municipality whose staff member is involved in financial oversight or record keeping, think our clerk and our treasurer, to have numerous semester hours of undergrad and graduate level accounting courses plus 5 years in an accounting field. So yes, so there you go. And then continuing education on top of that. While we all agree that we need qualified individuals working on our finances, this is an overreach and yet another unfunded mandate, so we oppose that. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, at least we hope not. Another bill, House Bill 1525. Any bill over 1,000, it seems, the odds are 75 to 80% we're going to oppose them. It's just interesting how the late filed bills work out. But this was a bill that would prohibit municipal annexations across any state legislative district boundaries. I didn't even hardly read that before the committee had voted to a motion and a second, and it was like us passing the minutes up here where there was no discussion, and it was a strong oppose. Last one I'll end with is Senate Bill 292. This is basically an anti-cop bill. and Chief heard about it, which would prohibit police from pulling over drivers as a primary offense for driving offenses related to expired tags beyond the expiration date. The bill actually said you couldn't pull them over unless the expired tag was more than 4 months old. Weaving, littering, excessive noise, so squealing of tires, all perfectly fine. Headlights out, you couldn't pull them over. So, this type of bill runs counter to, providing public safety, common sense law enforcement, and protecting our citizens. So obviously we oppose that bill. So it's interesting to note that given the volume of bills that I mentioned, very few have moved through, gotten any kind of, they're through the Senate or the House. Comparatively, when I did this, it was like 50. They then had some marathon voting sessions, so I think both chambers are well over 100. But the budget is taking all the time, sucking all the oxygen out of the room. They have till 3/31 to pass it, and they've only recently started the House and the Senate have only recently started to see eye to eye on the budget. And the latest idea is Senate Bill, remember what I said about greater than 1,000, Senate Bill 1045 and House Bill 1554, which is a business-to-business sales tax legislation. The bills are identical, so that tells you that the House and the Senate committees are seeing eye to eye, so they anticipate that one will come out quickly. I know they had a hearing on it today, and the list for people who were opposing it was very long. I haven't gotten an update, but it's a bill that would apply 2.5% sales tax for business-to-business services, and it's projected to raise $1 billion. So there's a $3 billion hole. There's all kinds of other things that were included in what the governor presented, and one of which was the elimination of itemized deductions. And this is supposed to be a compromise to keep itemized deductions in the Maryland Code instead of eliminating them. So they were going to create this new tax so people could still have itemized deductions. So, 3/31, they have to pass it. We'll see how that goes. 3/17 is crossover date, which means in order for a bill, unless it has special order, in order for a bill to carry on, it has to have passed one or the other chamber. So what are we, 11 days or 6 days out?
6 days.
And so time's flying, and then April 7th, the whole thing comes to an end. So we'll be one day after that when we meet again next time, and we'll see what comes out of it. But it's been an interesting committee to serve on, as usual. It's really a wide-ranging geographic committee. We have the mayor of Ocean City to the mayor of Cumberland, with everybody in between, and lots of good discussion on all these bills. Some of these meetings every Tuesday at 10. They stopped this week. We don't have one, but 2.5 hours long to get through all these bills that we're reviewing. So there's a lot of dedication there. So that's my update. We'll see what happens in the next month. All right, no old business. New business is the award of a contract for the Hampstead PFAS treatment centralization raw water mains, and it's contingent on MDE funding, as I've told Jim.
Yes.
Very clearly.
Yes, and so if you look at the bid opening sheet, you will notice that ECM Corporation came in with the low bid at $2.295 million. Metro was second at $2.386 million. Mid-Atlantic Utilities was third at $2.726, and Monumental Paving came in at $3.1 million. So once we open the bids, we then do our due diligence on the companies. And first two we reached out to was Metro and ECM, the two low bidders. We're familiar with ECM. They were a low bidder on a town water main project back in 2022. And when we looked into them, we found out that they had done some shoddy work in another municipality in Carroll County. And because it was local funds and we were not comfortable with them, we went to Mid-Atlantic on that job. The difference here is it's federal and state funds, so we have to really dig into them because they're gonna question why we're not going with low bid. So anyway, when we checked the references from ECM, and these were references that ECM provided, we found many deficiencies in their work. One developer had to actually lend them tools to finish the job. All 3 or 4 that we reached out to said that there were days when ECM just simply didn't show up to the site. None of the work on the 4 sites were completed in the allotted time, which would be a huge problem with us with the federal funding. And one town actually ended the contract early with ECM and then hired a different contractor to finish the job. So nothing very good. And the majority of these responses came from references that ECM provided. So then we looked at Metro, and for a while we thought we were going to go with Metro, and basically at the last minute their references came back much better. They weren't perfect, but they were much better. But we were informed, and after a nice Google search, you could find the articles on WBAL and in the Sun paper that Metro in 2023 was actually removed from a work site by the city, and they were banned from working for Baltimore City for 2 years for failing to pay their subcontractors. So we're like, okay. Basically what that does, and then in their application, there's a question we had in the application that basically says, has a business been barred from contracting from any local, state, or federal agency within the last 5 years? And Metro's response was no. Same thing, has any business or been released from a bid in the last 5 years? And Metro answered no. So because they were not honest on their application, that basically deems them non-responsible in their bid. So then we reached out.
Non-responsible or non-responsive?
Non-responsible. Responsive it would be if they did not reply. So then we reached out to Mid-Atlantic, who of course we're very familiar with, and we checked their references, and everything came back glowing as we expected. I then reached out to MDE, and I talked to 3 different departments at MDE, including the DBE department, about the process we went through, what our findings were, and what we were looking to do, which would be to go with Mid-Atlantic. The other thing that came into play is the engineer's estimate, which comes out before the bids are opened. They had this job estimated at $2.73 million. So Mid-Atlantic comes in at 2.726, almost right on the number.
Not a lot of wiggle room for any changes.
No. So when I reached out to MDE and ran the scenario past them, what we found, what the issues were, they were well aware of the Metro issue. And they were aware of some problems with ECM's background. All 3 of the different people that I spoke to all said that we should take this course and go with Mid-Atlantic.
And we've had Mid-Atlantic do a couple of projects, and change orders have never been a problem.
No.
Okay, good.
Including Main Street.
Yes.
I make a motion to award of contract then for Hampstead PFAS.
Second.
To Mid-Atlantic.
To Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic, yeah.
Contingent.
Second.
Contingent on MDE funding.
Thank you. Now you can second it.
Second.
All right. Further discussion of anything Jim said there? All those in favor of the award?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, no ordinances or resolutions. I think that'll pick up next month when we start introducing stuff, but no budgets in May more. Okay, public comments. I know you came, we talked to you beforehand, but feel free.
Comments we have, we've been
State,
struggling.
since we're in a public meeting, name and address.
My name is Noah Benor, live at 4001 Sullivan Drive. Lived there for 3 years. This is our first house, me and my wife. And since we moved in, first day we move in, when you sign off on a house, you have to go do your final lookout. Final lookout comes first day. We're standing outside, neighbor's dog runs over to our yard, poops in the yard. Oh, don't worry, I'll clean it up later. We come back 2 days later to the house, poop's not cleaned up, still in the yard. Dogs are constantly in our yard. Kids are throwing stuff over our fence, including this ball, which was then chewed up by my dogs. Problem with that is, who's going to be responsible if something happens? This isn't the first time this has happened. This isn't the second time. This is multiple times over 3 years that we've dealt with the town and had to call the town and the police over their trash cans constantly being at the top of the street, going into the alleyway, their trash constantly blowing over my yard, their yard being an absolute mess, which results in their trash in my yard. And as of recently, we've been, we had a couple problems last year with the landlord having people work at the house parking on our grass, on our property, We had to get the police involved in that. And then as of recently, about 2 weeks ago, after having multiple conversations of telling them, do not let people into our parking pad. It's a shared driveway that goes across. They have about 5 spots in their parking pad. We have 4 car spots. We had 1 motorcycle in our car park, in our parking pad, and their friend backed into it and totaled it. Spilled oil all over my driveway. Totaled a brand new 2024 motorcycle. I work hard. You know, I go to work every day. I'm a union plumber. You know, I don't want to have to come home or be getting a call at work. Thankfully, the guy stopped, but I don't want to be getting a call at work, hey, your motorcycle's laying on its side and there's oil on your driveway. I'm tired of having to come home, and I have a 6-foot privacy fence around my backyard. I shouldn't be worrying about somebody else's stuff in my yard when I let my dogs out. I shouldn't be worrying about other people's trash in my yard. I don't put my trash in other people's areas. I don't expect that, everybody's gonna have common decency, obviously, but it's a little bit ridiculous that I'm constantly going after somebody else.
Yep.
And that's a big problem to me.
Hey, I'm sorry you had to come out and tell us this in person, and, it's unfortunate that we can't legislate decency, as you said, but Jim and the chief will follow up on this address and follow up with you so that we can try to help and fix any issues that you're encountering, so that they don't continue moving forward.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do. Dave, you good? Okay, so many people.
So, as you're aware, I had my knee replaced 5 weeks ago. And, smart guy that I am, I think I can do it by myself. And obviously that wasn't the case.
Yeah, we all knew
And
that.
I just want to thank everyone, people in this room, people in the town, for just reaching out, helping with rides, with food, simply reaching out and offering anything I need, just checking in. It made a big difference, and once again, it just proves what a good town it is and what great people we have. So,
You're doing well.
thank you all.
So we're not gonna have that vote on kid?
So,
Well, that's my candidate. I'm campaigning there.
all right. I'm glad you're on the mend. All right, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you all. We'll see you in April. Spring will be in full bloom. Yes.
So Wayne, I'll be in touch with
Thank you.